Welcome back to Sharp Sports Media and the New York Mets. They're on a 6-game winning streak, getting their second sweep in a row, taking the Marlins down in all 3 games, and they move on to a record of 64, 37, and right now are 3 games up on the trailing Atlanta Braves. And overall, this was just a great series in terms of the Mets, especially the way it ended today. The vibes are immaculate. We'll start with today's game because it happened a couple hours ago. And you had Taijuan Walker versus Pablo Lopez. Lopez being the best pitcher you were going to face from the Marlins besides Alcantara. So it was a step down from the first game, but a step up from the second game. So it was and Lopez is a solid pitcher, very underrated. So I didn't know what to expect. I really did not know what to expect, considering it took us a while to get going against the pitcher in day 2, which was Neidert. Sorry, the Marlins rookie pitcher. And Pablo Lopez, well, the Mets got on him immediately, scoring 3 runs in the first, scoring 3 runs in the third. Pablo Lopez only goes 2 2/3, giving up 6 earned runs. And before I tweeted this out, before the 3rd inning ended, every single Met that started the game in the hitting rotation had a hit. Every single one of them. It wasn't even the 3rd inning. Wasn't the 3rd. That's what you call an amazing performance. They ended with 19 hits. 19 hits. I mean, Nimmo goes 1 for 6. Not great batting, but got 2 RBIs. Lindor went 3 for 5. Excuse me, not 5 for 3. 3 for 5. Pete 2 for 5. Daniel Vogelbach, who has been such a great addition. 2 for 4. McNeil 3 for 5. It just goes on. Naquin got his first hit as a Met. He's 1 for 5. Everybody was contributing, and that's how you end a series, really on such a high note, especially going into the trade deadline. The Mets' vibes and the Mets' confidence and the feeling around this team couldn't be higher. Taijuan Walker was strong for about 5 innings, and then gave up a run in the 5th, but gave up another 2 in the 6th. Ended up going 5 2/3 for 3 earned runs. Wasn't his best performance. I mean, he started out very strong, but kind of tailed off a bit. But you know what? In this game, it didn't really matter as much. I think the clubhouse was just a little loose. He probably wasn't on his A game. He probably wasn't as focused, which, if it starts to continue to happen this way, that's a problem. But from what I've seen from Walker this year, and just the way the game was going, it really wasn't that big a deal. So overall, he was good. Tommy Hunter, pitched a third, got that last out in the 6th. Then you had Nagosic go 2 innings, and Lopez go an inning to close it out. So you didn't have to use any of your big pitchers. No Diaz, no Ottavino, no Drew Smith, no Lugo, which is very, very nice as you enter in to the trade deadline coming in less than 48 hours, and you're going to go play another bottom-of-the-barrel team in the MLB in Washington, which you got it again. Let's get another sweep. This is something that the Mets have not been able to do most of the year. They've been winning series, but they haven't been able to get those sweeps, the final game, or the extra mile. And it definitely makes a difference because it gives you a lighter sense. It gives you a little bit of a lighter mood. It just allows you a little more room when it deals with the Braves, especially with them facing the Diamondbacks this week. And of course, they sweep. They walk it off in the 9th. Ugh, Diamondback. I was frustrated not seeing Arizona not being able to get it done for 1 game. Ugh, whatever. We don't need to worry about the Braves. We worry about ourselves. We worry about the New York Metropolitans. So this game was as good as you can make it. No home runs in today's game, but just small ball, knocking the ball around, getting on base, moving guys over, getting singles, getting those gap doubles. Just run the base as well. It was fantastic, and we'll shine a little light on Daniel Vogelbach as I talked about him before. The trade for Colin Holder, people were kind of questioning it a bit, was it? And Daniel Vogelbach has been phenomenal for the Mets. Phenomenal as a lefty bat. Currently, he has 16 at-bats for the Mets. He has 6 hits, 8 total, or 5 walks with 2 doubles. He's hitting 375, 545 on base, 500 slug for a 1045 OPS. I mean, that's absurd, especially for a guy like Vogelbach, who you're hoping can just have like a 750, 700, 7, or I'd say 7, closer to 750, maybe 800 OPS read. That's what you're kind of hoping for from that side. A little, I mean, home runs, but it doesn't matter with what he's doing. He's getting on base at a 500, over a 500 clip. That's ridiculous. His eye has been great. It kind of goes along with what this team is. It just gets on base. They work at bats, have a good eye. And when he starts hitting some dongs, it's going to really bring another dimension to this lineup as another big power bat who can go yard with Pete. And it gives some protection to Pete, as you can't just not throw to Pete because you're going to have somebody who can take you deep. It's not just a single that they can hit, so where it's first and second now with Pete on. But now it could be 2-0 if Vogelbach takes 1 yard. So he's been everything that you've wanted for. The second game, Mets win 4-0. Carlos Carrasco pitches in absolute gem. One of his best performances of the year. He goes 7 2/3, 4 hits, no earned runs, 7 Ks, 2 walks, and was great. And then, of course, you have Lugo, who has a similar performance. He was great again after the Yankees performance. He goes an inning and a third. No strikeouts, but just 14 pitches, just solid, getting outs by the ground ball, flyouts, or whatever. No hits either. So, overall, stellar pitching performance to shut out the Marlins in this game. The hitting was a little slow, I would say. It took a little bit to get going against this guy. But overall, Lindor had a fantastic day with 2 RBIs. He went 3 for 4. And, J.D. Davis had the home run, that could be J.D. Davis's last home run of his Mets career, which we'll see if that happens. It was overall a great, just solid performance by guys. I know Alonso hadn't had a hit the first 2 games, and he didn't have a hit this game, but overall the other guys stepped up. Lindor was great, and Lindor is kind of getting overshadowed on this team a bit. Not really, but I feel like he just doesn't get talked about enough by maybe other teams and other in major other markets, I guess, when they're talking about the Mets, how he's been very good for the Mets. Like, after today, he has a 262 average with a 337 slugging, or on base, and a 449 slugging. He's been very good for the Mets this year. He's been one of the I think he's probably the 3rd biggest player on this Mets offense for us this year, behind Alonso and Marte. He's sitting at a 786 OPS. He leads our team in WAR for offense. He's great defensively. He doesn't get overlooked by a lot of Mets fans, I think, but I think by other teams and national media, I think he can be overlooked on how good of a season Francisco Lindor is having. And if that was J.D. Davis's last home run, I wish him nothing but the best. He obviously has struggled this year, but I've always enjoyed watching him in past years. I was a really big fan of J.D. Davis. I think when he's going with the bat, he could be a very good piece off the bench. Really, I think he's a solid DH when his bat's going. It wasn't going this year, and we need that bat to go. So if he stays, he stays. But if not, it was wish him nothing but the best. And then you come to the first game where you're facing Sandy Alcantara, and it's Bassett on the mound. And in the first inning, it was just some small ball against Bassett, which it was tough to see. It wasn't like he was making awful pitches. It was just he couldn't. They were just getting like good approaches by the Marlins, but a lot of lucky hits. Like Guillorme stops it. It was like an infield single. The one just goes over the bag for the triple or something like that. It was rough. Or just a shallow or a small roller up the middle. It was tough to see because it wasn't like Bassett was pitching bad, but it gives up 3 in the first and against Alcantara. You're like, that could be it. Like game over. But the Mets bounce back, score 3 answered back to tie the game in the first inning, which was absolutely great. I mean, no real one home run from Marte, and it was against Alcantara in the fourth, which we can get to in a sec, and Nimmo later in the game. But it was a small ball getting to Alcantara, which is crazy to get. Usually, if you think he might just miss one pitch and you take him deep, but the Mets were getting on him everywhere, and Marte was phenomenal this game. He went 3 of 5. Marte had a triple, a single, and a home run. Was just missing a double for the cycle, which was close. That would have been crazy. Marte was fantastic, and it's very tough. I think Alcantara is the best pitcher in the league right now. Obviously with deGrom being hurt, but deGrom coming back on Tuesday. We get into that in a sec, but to come back after that and score 3, I think it was huge for just the confidence of the offense. And I know Bassett ended up giving up a run in the fourth, but Bassett ended up bouncing back for the 5th and the 6th. No, he gave up a run in the second, not the fourth. Gave up a run in the second inning, but bounced back for the 3rd through the 6th, for 4 innings of scoreless. So it started off a little rough, but ended up really bouncing back and keeping us in the game against Alcantara, because now you're down 1, and in the 4th, Starling Marte takes Sandy Alcantara deep, which was huge to tie the game. They are working his pitch count up. That Sandy only goes 5 innings and 100 pitches. He was up to 30 pitches, around 30 pitches in the first inning, which is huge because you get the 3 runs, which is huge, but you're not always going to get that. But working the pitch count against a guy like that so you can get him out of the game, you can focus on the bullpen. Even if it was a good bullpen, the Marlins bullpen, which it's not, even if it was, though, they're not as good as Alcantara, so you'd much rather face them. You have a better chance. But he gets out after 5. It's a tie game, and then some Brandon Nimmo, who's been struggling a bit, breaks out with a 2-run bomb. You saw it on his face, the emotions, giving out a little hells yeah. Shows you how much this guy curses and how much of you talk about how much of an impact the clubhouse is, because he usually says heck, doesn't say with those 2 double hockey sticks, which I found hilarious. But definitely a big hit for Nimmo, really breaking him out of his kind of slump. It's just been kind of struggling a bit, but other guys have been picking him up. But I think he needs to step it up, and he's shown a little bit of power this year, which is huge. Because of his eye, he doesn't need to be a huge home run hitter, but when he provides just a little bit of power, so it can happen. So you can't just force certain pitches on him. You have to be a little careful, because currently he's at Nimmo has 10 home runs on the year, which is like if he could be a 15 to 20 home run guy, that's very solid for a guy like Brandon Nimmo, who the way how often he gets on base. So it was a big hit from Brandon Nimmo to really give us that 2-run lead. And then of course, you have shutting the door, the Mr. Trumpets, Edwin Diaz comes into the game and shuts it down for an inning. Before we get to him, Ottavino was great though again. He got the win. Trevor Williams was pretty solid as well in that 8th inning role, which was kind of weird to see him in. I think that'll be whoever we get at the deadline, but seeing him fill in was okay, I guess. I don't really want to see Trevor Williams there, but he did a good enough job. And this is the Marlins team. You can afford to do that. And then Diaz comes in. 1 pitch away from an immaculate inning. 10 pitches, 3 strikeouts, and the dominance just continues from Edwin Diaz. It's actually unbelievable. It's insane what he's doing. And such a huge part of this team, and it is really going to, when it comes to playoff time, it's going to be huge. Is once you get to that 9th inning, you just got to give this guy a lead, and you're going to go home with a W. It's so nice to have such an assurance like that. But The Mets moving on. You got the Marlins, or not the Marlins. You just came from the Marlins. You got Washington, and then you got the Braves. So two big series coming up, the deadline coming up. And guess what? Jacob deGrom is coming back on Tuesday. Let's freaking go. You're going to have Mad Max tomorrow, and then Jacob deGrom Tuesday. Oh, the dream. It's real. It's really real. Oh my! I'm just so excited for it. So excited. It could be the best 1-2 in baseball. Seriously, and it's what the Mets fans have been dreaming and just like drooling about since we've signed Max Scherzer, and it's gonna happen. It's really gonna happen. So I have a lot of hopes for Jacob deGrom. So lot to look forward to with the trade deadline, Jacob deGrom, and then the Braves, which is going to be such a huge series. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on this series was and the Mets in the comments below or on my Twitter, which is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the other side.